The film begins by showing us a luxurious palace in Morocco, where a young woman named Ito, originally from the Berber community, lives with her wealthy family by marriage. The palace, located in the middle of the desert, is filled with servants ready to attend to her at any moment. Her husband, Amin, is the son of the influential local Cade, Mustafa, a successful businessman and intermediary in the region. Mustafa is married to Hajar, a cold and hostile woman, especially towards her daughter-in-law Ito. Hajar's animosity may be linked to Ito's humble origins. Despite this, Ito completely immerses herself in the religion and lifestyle of her new family, finding a purpose amidst her previously difficult existence. She is a woman with expressive eyes and an agile body, with a large pregnant belly. Although she appears stubborn, there is a noticeable fragility in her demeanor. Even with all the love and wealth around her, something suggests that Ito is not fully happy with her privileged position in the household. Ito and Amin are eager for the promising future that his latest lucrative business venture will bring. However, even as Amin enthusiastically describes the house they plan to build, the phone rings, and his mother demands his attention. For Amin, family is a priority. He married Ito for love, not for her social status, and now she is the humble woman from the Berber tribe who feels out of place at the dinner table of this powerful and critical Moroccan family. While the family sits in silence with their iPads, Ito and Amin talk in their room. She mentions that his mother does not accept her into the family and wanted him to marry a wealthy girl, not a nobody from the countryside. When the family leaves to visit the governor in Kurigba, Ito decides to stay behind. She experiences a sense of freedom as soon as her husband leaves through the door. Alone, Ito enjoys the day to herself, eating sweets and temporarily ignoring the strict rules of etiquette, completely oblivious to the impending disaster. Suddenly, a massive storm hits the region, and she receives a call from Amin informing her that roadblocks are preventing his return, which makes her anxious. Military vehicles quickly pass through the gate of the family's complex, and soldiers with loudspeakers ask her to stay inside the house. Inside the house, Ito prays and then lies down to try to rest. The next morning, Amin calls again, informing her that there is still no way to return. Determined not to wait indefinitely, Ito insists on going to where he is. Amin then arranges for a peasant named Moha to take her to Kurigba. To Ito's surprise and displeasure, Moha decides to bring his own family along on the trip. While on the road, Ito tries to use the phone, but there is no signal. She begins to doubt the direction they are taking and questions Moha about the route. He responds that they are crossing the mountains to avoid the roadblocks. After some time traveling, they take a break in a small Berber village, very similar to the one Ito grew up in. There, she finally gets enough signal to confirm her suspicions about their destination. Confronting Moha, he reveals that he intends to leave his children in the Atlas Mountains to ensure their safety and will then come back for her. Not even the reminder that he was paid to transport her changes his mind, so Ito decides to offer more money to convince him. With the new offer, Moha agrees. After resolving this, Ito goes out for some fresh air and ends up befriending a stray dog, giving it some of her food. Unfortunately, Moha decides to abandon Ito even after accepting the extra money. Desperate, she tries to run after him, but it is in vain. With Amin and his family trapped in the city of Kurigba, Ito finds herself alone and helpless. However, she finds some consolation in remembering that she has a considerable amount of money. She calls Amin and tells him what happened, and he suggests that she find a hotel for the night. Ito finds a hotel, pays in advance, and allows the stray dog to stay with her. The hotel owner, Fuad, is a middle-aged man, kind and honest, though not religious. He asks if Ito needs anything, and even offers to shelter her at his parents' house, assuring her that his mother and sister would take care of her. It's not safe for a woman to stay alone in a hotel, he explains. Ito reacts sharply, stating that she is paying for peace and quiet, not to run away because she is alone. Fuad apologizes and leaves to bring only what she requested. After that, Ito puts a collar on the dog and goes out for a walk. During the walk, an agitated man approaches, claiming that his animals are possessed by the devil and that Ito's dog is too. The dog, defensive, bites the man's leg, who falls unconscious for a few seconds before getting up and saying he's fine. He murmurs that everything will be all right. Later, she leaves the room and goes to the table. Fuad asks if she wants to eat something. She accepts, grateful for the unexpected kindness. Ito looks around, noticing the unusual silence of the stray dogs gathered in a circle and the birds that seem to be watching her intently. Something is different in the air, a tension that cannot be ignored. However, she feels more uncomfortable with the stern looks of the local men than with these disturbing natural signs. As a young woman traveling alone, she knows she attracts unwanted attention and resentment. The next morning, determined to continue her journey, Ito tries to discreetly borrow Fuad's motorcycle, but is quickly intercepted by him. The man who once offered help now looks at her with a mix of surprise and compassion. Ito, desperate for a ride to Kurigba, tries to bribe him with money, assuming everyone has a price. However, Fuad, a principled and altruistic man, gently refuses her offer, insisting that she needs to find her own means of transport. Eventually, after frustrated attempts at communication in French and Arabic, she begins to converse with him in Berber, a language that connects her more deeply with her roots and with Fuad himself. After some negotiation, Fuad agrees to help her after delivering his barley load. Together, they set off in his vehicle towards Kurigba, leaving behind a dog that tried, unsuccessfully, to follow them. Upon arriving at the first checkpoint, located at Fuad's parents' house, they decide to spend the night there. During the night, Fuad finds her silently praying. He approaches with respect and asks if she is feeling better. In an unlikely moment of intimacy, she confronts his beliefs, challenging him about his skeptical view of the divine. Fuad responds with raw honesty, arguing that if there were a god, he would help the needy, not individuals like her. It would be like adding water to the sea, he explains. Ito in turn carefully advises him about his words, reminding him of the importance of faith in facing the final judgment. The next morning, they bid farewell to Fuad's family and continue their journey through the deserted road. They make a stop in an abandoned town to look for food, but find the place empty and deserted. The news they hear speaks of supernatural events, rumors of the arrival of alien beings that have brought the country to a state of emergency. Hundreds of thousands of people are heading to sacred places seeking answers, explaining the deserted town they found. Continuing the journey, Ito is in deep prayer when they spot a mysterious teenager hitchhiking. He is also heading to Kurigba and joins the group. His gaze is steady, always accompanied by an enigmatic smile. It's unclear whether he is arrogant, mysterious, or harbors deep secrets. He reveals that his family left for Kurigba before him, participating in a major spiritual celebration. When Ito expresses wishes for divine protection, the young man reflects intriguingly, God is more elusive than a black ant on a dark stone on a moonless night. Soon, the three find themselves caught in a paranormal sandstorm, illuminated by blue lights emanating from the sky. Berber rumors about connections with extraterrestrial activities add an air of mystery to the phenomenon. Reality, dream, and hallucination intertwine within this surreal whirlwind. Distorted and emotional visions unfold. Fuad drives towards the storm. Ito calls out for him but receives no response. The teenager encourages her not to succumb to fear, and she decides to move forward as well. Inside, she is overwhelmed by visions of her in-laws, and finally of a flock of sheep. In an emotional moment, she embraces one of them as tears stream down her face. Returning to reality, she finds the teenager still with his enigmatic smile. Ito leaves behind her material concerns, embracing a new purpose that unfolds in an elusive and symbolic manner, guiding them onward in their journey. Finally arriving in Kurigba, they find a crowd anxiously trying to enter the city. Ito questions the teenager about the reality of what they witnessed, and he responds with a profound reflection. The physical world is just one layer of a more complex reality, comparable to fish that do not perceive the water they swim in. The conversation separates them, as Fuad leads her to attempt entry into the city. Facing a soldier's refusal, Fuad advises her to try bribing him. After resolving the situation, he asks her name, and she responds as the daughter-in-law of the Cade. Together, they move away from the crowd and wait for someone to take them further. While they wait, Ito shares with Fuad her strange experiences, mentioning the vision of the sheep and how she felt deeply connected, embracing the leader of the flock as if it were her own mother. She reveals a past marked by poverty and loss, highlighting how she found solace and a new family with Amin, forgetting her painful past. Now, amidst the twists of the journey, she questions the meaning of it all. Fuad briefly responds that they need to find one. Shortly after, she hears her name being called and rushes through the crowd, finding Amin waiting for her. Emotional, she tells Amin that it was Fuad who helped her. Amin tries to reward Fuad with money, but he gently refuses. She thanks him deeply, and the couple enters the city. Hosted at the governor's house, the family is gathered around the news when Ito arrives. Soon, Hajar greets her warmly and invites her for a relaxing bath. After dinner, Ito shares her doubts about her beliefs with Amin and asks to rest, exhausted, but the conversation continues. She expresses frustration, feeling that he never takes things seriously. Amin prefers to avoid arguments, urging her to let it go. She hesitates to share her deepest thoughts for fear of being judged by him. He assures her that she can tell him anything, but Ito challenges him, asking if he would think she is crazy for believing that there are beings from another world among us. referring to the aliens. His serious look seems to confirm her suspicions. Ito leaves the room in search of a snack from the refrigerator, discreetly exploring the house. She then lies down on the couch and watches an intriguing video about the aliens, where a man argues that they inhabit an intermediate world shared with us. Tired, she falls asleep right there and is awakened in the morning by Hajar, who instructs her to prepare for prayers. Noor, her sister-in-law, picks out her clothes as they get ready to go to the mosque. With heavy traffic, Mustafa suggests they go in while he looks for parking. As they walk, Ito is disturbed by seeing a bird pecking at someone, questioning her own beliefs, but Hajar encourages her to stay. Separated by gender during prayers, Amin joins the men, while Ito asks him to stay by her side, challenging protocol, but he moves away nonetheless. Finding a place to pray, Ito again observes the strange behavior of the birds, increasing her concerns. Meanwhile, Amin is seen crying during the prayer, also distracted by the birds. Back with Ito, she becomes distressed upon feeling an ant in her ear, while Noor comforts her, assuring her that everything will be all right. Suddenly, Ito stands up and runs toward her husband, who appears to be unwell. The men in the mosque are furious and order her to leave as her water breaks. The boy is still there in the crowd, his persistent smile on his face. After being escorted out of the mosque, Ito is quickly taken to the hospital, where she gives birth that very night. The baby's cry wakes her, and she calls for help, but no one responds. Descending with the baby in her arms, she finds a nurse crying, who reveals that she saw that they no longer existed. Ito's encounter with the aliens leads her on a profound inner journey, where she overcomes her previous fears and limitations, symbolized by her emerging from a cocoon-like state. The final scene takes place sometime later, as her baby begins to crawl. She picks him up in her arms, and together they walk towards the horizon as the screen slowly fades to black. Thus, the film ends.